2024 is primed to be one of the biggest years in Spider-Man history, and you've only seen the tip of the iceberg so far, so join me as we hop into the pages of Web of Spider-Man issue number 1, a brand new anthology series that gets you up to speed on everything that you can expect from your favorite wall crawlers this year. Alright, now with all that being said, I do cover a lot of Spider-Man related books on the channel, but I'm only going to talk about the stories from this new issue as it pertains to the stuff I'm already reading or might plan on reading in the future. If I didn't, I would just kind of be here all day. So then, as we join the book, we're greeted by Madam Web, star of the silver screen. Yeah, I'm sorry, there was no way I could say that with a straight face. You know how I know no one actually cared about that Madam Web movie? Because Marvel Comics didn't bother shoehorning her into a bunch of new stories like they normally do. Shit, even Morbius got a couple fresh appearances. Here, Madam Web is basically acting as our Crypt Keeper to tell us about all the things happening across the Spider-Verse and how it's all probably going to lead to another big event or something. First up, we see the continued fallout of the gang war event over in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man. We see the new kingpin of crime, Tombstone, being told by his underlings about how Spider-Man broke up a gun deal of theirs. The funny part is, he mostly didn't do anything, he just kinda waved at the bad guys and they all fell apart. Again, if you were reading that book, you'll remember that Tombstone and Peter were actually on the same side when the gang war started, but now the underworld isn't exactly sure if they should trust Lonnie or not because of that, and Spider-Man is feeling extra vengeful because he got double-crossed. Basically, if you've been reading The Amazing Spider-Man, then you knew all of this already, but still, Tombstone vows a big flashy revenge for the second time. Wow, what a weak sauce way to open up this collection. Amazing Spider-Man just continues to disappoint, doesn't it? Thankfully, next up, though, we got a Cody Ziegler, Miles Morales-centric story. Miles is swinging around Harlem when he sees a bunch of people getting attacked by the very same energy vampires that him and Blade beat in a previous arc. Turns out their boss, the bioelectricity vampire known as Ramir, might not be nearly as dealt with as everyone had hoped he was. Complicating things is the return of super speedster Hightail. She had been working for Agent Gao and the Cape Killers organization, almost exclusively pestering Miles. Of course, now the Cape Killers are no more, meaning Spider-Man and Hightail are free to have a real deal team-up. The two actually have a lot in common, right down to being bilingual. In fact, all of their conversation in this issue is done in Spanish. It would seem that Hightail was also drawn to the energy vampires because you'll remember she was bitten by Ramir in that last story, and if the good guys want to beat him again, they could certainly use her help and connection. In fact, with the Avengers Blood Hut event starting soon, another big vampire-themed story, I get the feeling that we're going to see a lot of vampire action in the Marvel Universe moving forward. After that, we get a chance to check on in with Norman Osborn, the Gold Goblin. He's hunting down an escaped Limbo demon and member of Chasm's own Insidious 6 group, the Grave Goblin. Norman is extra pissed at this dude, not just for stealing his old goblin gimmickry, but also because he's a reminder of how no matter how hard he tries, he just cannot ever seem to escape the evil deeds of his past. Gold Goblin takes the little demon pretender back to Madeline Pryor and the Limbo Embassy, and from there we actually transition on over to a story about Ben Reilly, the famous Spider-Man clone, who these days is known by his new moniker, Chasm. You'll remember that Ben was imprisoned inside the Limbo Embassy following the end of the Dark Web storyline, an incredibly stupid decision made during probably one of the worst Spider-Man events I've read maybe ever. Chasm fights his way past some demons, saying that his new energy powers have grown even stronger and that he was only ever waiting for a chance to escape and reclaim his lost memories, a problem that they should really have been able to solve a long time ago but never did because, like I said, Dark Web was dumb as hell. Also, Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, just kind of lets him go because she feels bad for him and the fact that she got her memories fixed at the end of that Dark Web story, but he didn't. And now she feels Ben would be better being the master of his own destiny, despite the fact that in that last story he took over Limbo and tried to kill her. Again, just so dumb. I mean, if nothing else, Chasm has been shown time and time again to be incredibly incompetent, so maybe he's not actually as dangerous as I thought. The next story is thankfully a Greg Weisman piece tying into his brand new Spectacular Spider-Men series. It's very short, as that book is literally just one issue old at the time of this recording. In fact, I wonder why this one was even included at all. Basically, Peter and Miles' new favorite coffee shop gets robbed, so they suit up and catch the thieves, but they're clearly being watched from afar by some mysterious yet-to-be-named individual. Perhaps the biggest story in this new collection actually involves the return of Kane the Scarlet Spider, a character who whenever I talked about Ben, people always seemed in the comments section section to ask me, where's Kane? Where's Kane? Well, here he is. Why was he gone? Turns out he got snipped out of the web of life during one of those Spider-Verse books I never read. But why is he back now, you might be asking? Well, Madam Web tipped him off about Chasm escaping, and because Peter keeps making things worse with Ben every time he deals with him, Kane figured he might as well handle it himself as his clone brother. And honestly, you know what? That's the best new idea I've heard for these two characters in a really long time. It's while searching the sewers, Scarlet Spider ends up getting attacked by some strange monster and loses the trail. But wait, these aren't just any old monsters, these are actually deviants in service of Droog, as in the bad guy from the Eternals. Holy crap, I really did not expect him to show up in this book, but you know what? I'm actually totally game for him messing with the Spider-Man clones. I don't know what book that's gonna be in, but sign me up. And that's more or less where the book comes to an end. Overall, Web of Spider-Man wasn't so much a collection of stories with beginnings, middles, and ends. It was really more of a marketing tool, one that pretty much didn't change my intentions one way or another when it comes to the Spider-Man books I'm already reading. For what it's worth though, even though I'm not reading Ghost Spider, Spider-Man 2099, or Spider-Woman, just from flicking through the books, their stories actually did seem more interesting and more substantial. I'm just not reading them right now because I have way too many books and I can't take on any more Spider books. But if you are a fan of those, you haven't been forgotten, and it looks like they got some big stuff coming down the pipeline for you. Weird though that Dan Slott and Superior Spider-Man didn't get a mention in this one. Maybe it's because that book was never actually meant to run for long, and it looks like Ock won't be becoming a Spider-Man again at the end of that one, but I digress. Overall, outside that Kane-centric story, I would say I didn't learn much I didn't already know just from reading the ongoing Spider-Man books, and none of the stories in this one I would particularly call must-read material, which is why overall I would give this one a 5 out of 10. Not the worst, not offensive, just kind of middle of the road. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.